Hello and welcome to another thrilling episode of Fut-Afrique, the only show that allows you to discover the African continent via its football. My name is Itumeleng Kgosigadi, and this week we delve into the exciting action of CAF's biggest club competitions, the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederation Cup, as by the end of this weekend we will know the final 32 teams that will compete within the competitions. We also have the scoop for you as to what's happening in the world of the WAFCON, as we know that the tournament is slowly approaching and teams are qualifying. So there are others who will not make it, others have already not made it, and others will be making their mark for the very first time. Stick around as we also have that trivia question for you and the breaking news from CAF as they've officially announced who the host of the AFCON will be for the next 2 years, 2025 as well as 2027. Before we fully dive into this week's show, let's give you the answer to last week's trivia question with a man who we love dearly right here on Fut-Afrique. He's a man who is a commentator of note, an enchanting voice, and a football encyclopedia. Brian Mufugeng, welcome back to studio.
Thank you. What a warm welcome. I should stay in the studio more often.
It feels so good to have you here. I love having you here. But let's answer last week's trivia question and get down to business. Last week we did ask our viewers, USM Alger won the CAF Super Cup 2023. They, however, are not the first team from Algeria to do so. Who was the first team from Algeria to do so?
2015, it was Al Ali against CS Sétif of Algeria. Al Ali lost that particular game. So it looks like Algerian teams against Al Ali in the Super Cup.
Yeah.
Not good news at all from an Al Ali point of view.
Which Al Ali seems to be like a regular contender when it comes to the CAF Super Cup, correct?
It is indeed, because they will win the tournament, so therefore
Yes.
will play in the Super Cup. So, if they play Champions League, they'll win it. When they played in the other edition, they actually won the Confederations Cup when they played against Sétif. So it's one of those.
Well, there you have it. ES Sétif is the answer, the first team from Algeria to win the CAF Super Cup. Come a bit closer. Let's test your knowledge with us. This week, we have another trivia question lined up just for you. It's fairly simple. This week, we are asking you about the WAFCON. Now, in 2022, the WAFCON had an extended 12 teams. However, before that, there was a specific number of teams that competed within the competition. The question is, how many teams prior to 2022 competed in the WAFCON? It's a simple one.
Give you a clue also, in 2020, we're supposed to have had the first 12 teams qualifying the tournament. Because of COVID-19, don't have the tournament. But later on, you'll be turning to Jess. You'll talk more about the WAFCON and the stories and everything around it. So if you listen, when E to speak to Jess, the answer will be right there.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. You take that answer, then you pop it onto social media. It is at Fut-Afrique. Use the hashtag, the only one that matters. Hashtag Fut-Afrique. Let's get into the leading stories of this week, Brian, and I think they're very interesting. CAF comes out, and they say Morocco, our beloved country, the mecca of football lovers, come closer as you finally get to host the AFCON.
You know, a lot of people on social media, and I know that followers of this show were probably thinking it's not going to go to the north or the west again.
Yeah.
It's going to go somewhere else. But if you think about it, Morocco hasn't hosted the AFCON in a long time.
Since 1988.
So that is why now they finally got themselves a chance to host the AFCON tournament. It was very tight competition. They had to beat off some very good contenders for them to eventually be the ones that get to host the 2025 edition of the competition. Remember, they're supposed to go to Guinea initially. But because of their own problems, eventually they had to move away. So good, well done to Morocco. Congratulations, because they've realized and have made sure that they become the African Mecca.
Yeah.
That's where everybody goes, and football-wise, you know that Morocco is a one-stop for football continuously.
Yeah. I mean, when they were supposed to host in 2015, and then there was the Ebola outbreak in the west of Africa, and then they came and said, whoa, we don't want people in our country. Do you think the decision to ban them for 2 years was equivalent or was pertinent?
Listen, I mean, it depends how you look at it.
Yeah.
From a Moroccan point of view, they were saying they're protecting their people. And from an African continent point of view, some people are saying, no, they think they're better than the rest of us. But you got to think about it. What do you do first as a government? You got to think about your citizens first, and also think about what are contingency plans around it to make sure everything is okay. So since then, they've literally kissed and made up with CAF. They've moved on. They are now the team that have got into the semifinals of FIFA World Cup. History is beckoning. Everything is looking very good for them. The ladies' team is doing well. So everything is looking very good from a football point of view in Morocco. The president of that country, the king of that country, loves football to bits.
Yeah.
And he literally loves CAF. He wants everything to be done in Morocco. So I think well done to them.
Yeah, well done to Morocco. Then 2027, here comes the plot twist, right? Actually, before we talk about that plot twist, Morocco, they want to host the 2030 World Cup together with Spain and Portugal.
Yeah.
Do you think this puts them at a better place for that to actually become a reality?
It depends because remember, Saudi Arabia is also looking to do the same thing. That is why they've been signing all the big players into their country. Hence, they also hosted a Super Cup. They're putting themselves to say, we are also one of those places you can actually come to when they're looking at doing certain things differently. So, it's going to be a very tight one, I have to say. But I'm going to love to see, the logistic part around it.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be very interesting.
Spain, Portugal, Africa.
But also, if you look at it, the North Africans are able to move into Europe quite easier.
Yes.
And also, if you look at it from transportation point of view, it is very flexible. So I see that working out. But 2030 is something else. Everybody's thinking about what's going to happen getting there, but it's going to be very interesting.
On a personal note, though, because I thought about this myself, how do you feel about the co-hosting of big tournaments? I personally, I don't really like it. And the reason why I don't like it is because I believe that when there's a sole host and there's one nation that is hosting, we get immersed and we get to learn more about that nation.
Not really. If you look at it, yes, there's that part, fair enough. But the second party, there's certain nations who can't host the tournament alone.
Then don't host.
No, but I'm saying, but if they co-host, they're able to take the other nations able to take sort of massive baggage of them.
It's just so
and they're able to have it.
Brian. I don't like it.
But if you look at it, you don't find co-hosts being one in the north, one in the west. It's always going to be around the same area. Where traveling is very, very good.
And why, if Morocco gets it, because they're a North African country, it will be easier for them to get into Europe.
Exactly. So that is why it brings out to the next one, to say the 2027 hosts are going to be from the east.
I don't like it.
I see your point around that, but I believe that from where I'm sitting, I'm going to be able, say I travel to the tournament in 2027.
You're not going to go to all the countries, though. That's one thing.
You're going to be able to go there.
You will not. It's a lot of money.
Lot of money, but when you sit around it, because you already know it's 2027 is when the tournament is coming up.
So you're saying even the fans must plan now?
The fans must plan now. Also, number two, the countries that are co-hosting should start find certain packages that are going to be able to work for the fans of the beautiful game. Because we'll be able to say, now let's now create flights. They're going to move from Ethiopia to Kenya. So you're able to have that segment. We're able to have covered. Because everything is not much of a different from a traveling point of view.
Okay, I'll give it to you. Let the viewers know. 2027, what's happening? Where we're going? Because we're going all over Africa. Before we close up this link.
2027... I was thinking about Ethiopia. Remember we had a discussion about Ethiopia and said Ethiopia,
part of the founders of CAF.
Part of the founders of CAF. They've done very well. So it's going to be Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda. They're going to be three. They're going to host it. I was looking forward to Botswana. I thought Botswana will get it.
I want Botswana to host alone.
Botswana going to host alone. I thought Botswana was going to be able to get it. It didn't happen, but I feel, you know what? They still gave a chance to get it some other time.
The good news about 2027 is that if you are from Uganda, finally for you will have your team participating within the AFCON because they've been on hiatus for donkey years now.
No, you remember they qualified under Militon Metals when they qualified after 39 years.
It didn't go so well, though.
39 years of absentia.
Yeah.
They just sacked him now recently.
Yeah.
So they're going to come back now and look how things are going to be going forward. So good luck to them.
But they can be certain now.
1976, the last time Ethiopia hosted it.
Fair enough.
So now the East has a chance to host the tournament finally.
CAF region 2027, it's all on you. Welcome back. You're still watching Fut-Afrique. You have to all things African football conversations. Let's now turn our attention and put the spotlight on CAF's biggest club competitions, the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederation Cup. Brian, as AMA 2000, this is what we say. When it's a big weekend, we say weekend then cool. Do you understand? Yeah. That means that get busy. And that's exactly what's happening in the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederation Cup, as only 32 spots are available. 16 in Champions League, 16 in Confed Cup. Not everyone can make it. Others will be left out.
Very interesting ties to look at. I think advantage for Wydad because they're playing their home game against Haifa. But, that's a grudge match.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the hosting of the AFCON tournaments, and Wydad will be thinking, we're hosting in Morocco. IFA will be saying, yeah, you took that from us. We could have been hosting 2025, you know? But because the team that came over felt not prepared enough, so they took it away from us. So 1-1, that's fine. The score is 1-1 now in the first leg. The second leg is coming up. Will be at Wydad's backyard. So Wydad will know a win will just be enough for them. Or even a draw. A goalless draw will be good enough for them to advance to the group stages. Remember, they are champions in 2021. 2021, in fact. 2022.
They're back-to-back finalists.
2021, they were champions. 2022, they almost got it, but Al Ali won it. So now they'll be hoping that they can actually be able to do it this time around.
Yeah.
2023, I beg your pardon.
Haifa from Guinea, a team that really wants to make sure that they secure their spot, because the last time that they played, they only made it to the preliminary round. So for them qualifying is something, it's a milestone within Guinea.
It is big.
It is, right?
Big for them, yeah?
Yeah, it really is. Let's talk about Mamelodi Sundowns. They went away, played up against a team from Burundi, Bumamuru, and it was a game where they secured a victory. Mamelodi Sundowns, though, on a beautiful streak. They've made history for themselves in their local league.
He's indeed, Sundowns are on fire. Radamukwen is enjoying himself. He's really enjoying the sort of team that he has there. Yeah. It shows investment. You know, the Mutsipe Foundation invested a lot of money in the team, and you can see now it's paying dividend finally, because you can see what Sundowns is doing. I mean, 31 matches, unbeaten to tie the record of Chiefs. They now got 32 matches. That is one more than what Chiefs had as a record. And to also make it even make more sense, they've gone an entire calendar year. And now they've gone a calendar year plus a month unbeaten in the league in South Africa. And you talk about that just being something special. Rolando Mokoena is a coach at Sundowns, 28 league matches, unbeaten. You talk about a CAF Champions League. They didn't lose a game, but in the CAF Champions League when he was in charge. They lost by the away goal rule. They played 2 draws in those matches. They're yet to lose a game under him in the CAF Champions League as well. They had take home a 4-0 goal advantage. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens here.
It's going to be insanely interesting. I actually want to find out from Jess how she's feeling, because we know she's part of this family now. So, it's that drum that they beat there. It's that Rulani Rumble that's currently taking place there in Krugerkop. But congratulations to Mamelodi Sundowns. I mean, they played their game in Tanzania. When listening to the post-match, Rulani Mokoena does mention a lot about them playing on AstroTurf. It was really hot. Let's just talk about the disadvantages on playing AstroTurf if you're used to a normal ground.
Have you walked on AstroTurf without your shoes? So the shoes on.
I play paddle.
Hot.
I play paddle, right? Yeah. And all I know is that it shreds a lot.
Exactly.
And it slips. It's very slippery.
And also, if you're looking at when there's water on there, it just literally disappears.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very hard to play there. Difficult to knock the ball around. It's easy at Sundowns with one.
It just slides.
So it's very difficult. So for them to get 4 goals playing in that particular in that stadium, in that particular turf, I have got to say congratulations to them.
Yeah, congratulations to Mamelodi Sundowns. It looks like the signings that they also have are really doing an incredible job. Peter Shalulile coming off of the bench and finding the back of the net. Let's cross our attention now to the CAF Confederation Cup. USM Alger up against Rabat. Now, USM Alger, the defending champions, are now going to their second leg, and they have to win.
It's a tough one. You know, they played their first game. They played a 1-0 draw. And I have to say, what makes this very interesting is that they're the defending champions won. Yeah. We know what happened to the previous defending champion. Aras Berkane were knocked out very early in the previous edition. So they don't want to do it.
And there's no mercy in these competitions.
No, there's absolutely no mercy. Everybody wants to get there. Yeah. And especially when you play against a team that is supposedly the champions. You want to go out and actually do well. USM Alger been brought down to Maraet just to level up things a bit. They've won the Confederation Cup. They won the Super Cup. So Rabat said, no. We're not Al Ali. We're going to stop you a bit here. You need to start working hard for you to get to the next round.
Yeah.
So that's a big one.
That's going to be a very big one. I'm also just looking at this one. Zamalek up against Artasola. Artasola, I've never seen that flag before. Let me know as to where this team is from. Who are they? And they go up against Zamalek, where they beat Zamalek actually in the first leg.
It is interesting. I mean, if you look at the game, they come from Djibouti.
Where is Djibouti?
Djibouti is the Horn of Africa. You know, right at the edge there to the eastern side.
So that's part of the
they've got the Red Sea just next to them.
Okay.
So the right at the top, they've got Ethiopia, they've got Somalia, just around Eritrea is around there, the same area. So they come from there. So very interesting to see how they're going to fare against Zamalek. Zamalek, you remember, is one of those teams that actually won the CAF Champions League. They've also been doing very well in the Confederation Cup. So are we going to see an upset again?
That is what it's all about in CAF Continental competitions. It's not about the pedigree that comes with the name of your team. It actually comes with what you do on the field of play. 11 versus 11, 90 minutes. It's either make it or break. Welcome back. You're still watching Fut-Afrique. We'll be having all conversations that have to do with African football. Let's turn our attention now on the fastest sport that is growing globally. This is women's football, and I do this conversation with Jessica Bokamo, known to you as Auntie Diski. But, Jess, I was saying to Brian that I have to ask you this. Mamelodi Sundowns on a winning streak. The momentum is high. History has been made. Yeah. How does it feel like to be part of
Absolutely amazing, and they deserve it. We speak about investments in teams and in clubs, in players, in the technical structure, and this is an example of what results you would get if you are focusing on the investment of a team. Yeah. They've done so well in South African football. We've seen them on club level. We've seen them at CAF. Even though they did not win last CAF, but it's people that, if you don't walk away with it, we are knocking. So I think it speaks about the development and the investment. And what is nice about it is it duplicates from the men's side to the women's side. Investment not on one part of the team, but both sides of the team, and the results are coming. Mamelodi Sundowns ladies winning COSAFA, moving on to CAF. Currently, there's a bit of a challenge there in the National Women's League, but if they walk away with it, that just speaks volumes in terms of what Mamelodi Sundowns is and the kind of investments they have for the team.
I mean, it's definitely admirable.
Yes, yes.
That's the word.
Yes.
As to what's happening at the club, because it is a mirror image as to what's happening on the men's side and the women's side. Just a disclaimer, I know you're probably watching this, so you're like, these are both Mamelodi Sundowns fans. No, I am a neutral fan. I support everyone on the African continent.
Everybody who wins.
Let's talk about
what kind of fan you are.
Exactly. Let's talk about the WAFCON that is coming up. The 15th edition is set to take place in North Africa, in Morocco. So there you have it. We know that the men's AFCON is going to be taking place over there in 2025. And we also know that the women's AFCON is the women's AFCON is going to be taking place right over there. So that's exciting times for the Maghreb region.
Very exciting. And I like the fact that you said 15th edition. Started in 1991. That means there's been 3 decades of when it started. But when it started, does it translate to the growth of women's football? Somewhat it does, somewhat it doesn't. I was actually on social media, looking at clubs that have done so well in terms of the other African parts of it. And I see there isn't a lot of structure when it comes to either the brand visibility of the teams, A lot of teams aren't even on social media. It's even difficult to get the information about them on Wikipedia or Google. So I think the growth of women's football, given that we are in our 3rd decade, needs to speak volumes. We need to start seeing it. We need to start taking ourselves serious so that the rest of the world can start taking us serious. But I'm super excited. 1991 up until now, there's a lot of conversations, and I'm ready to speak about the format because I think that's a lot of things that people want to know about or hear about. So
take it back to 91 as to how it was played, how many teams were involved, just how did the competition work?
Yes. So we had 8 teams and there were no group stages then. So you'd have 8 teams, and I'm going to make an example so people actually understand. And remember, back in the days, we only had 1 slot for an African team to advance to the FIFA World Cup. So it was still,
the champions.
Yeah, it was still qualifiers for the FIFA World Cup, but we only had 1 slot. And we'll talk about the improvement of now having 4 teams that will definitely, advance to play for FIFA. So for 1991, we had Nigeria. So it was 8 teams. So it will be Nigeria, Ghana, who played against each other. We had Guinea, who played against Senegal. We had Zambia, who played against Zimbabwe. We had Cameroon, who played against Congo. You saw what I did when I said Cameroon.
Girl, you guys like making it seem as if I'm spicy, and I'm not. But I have a question about Cameroon, which I'll ask you later.
Definitely. And from those matches, we saw Nigeria and Guinea moving ahead. And then we saw Zambia and Cameroon moving ahead. And from those 2 teams, Nigeria and Cameroon were now in the finals, and Nigeria once against Cameroon. See again, Cameroon and Nigeria. We know that Nigeria has been the most successful club or most successful nation, and also has hosted the most. But we'll talk about that a little bit later when I talk about how they came forth. So that was the setup. The one that would win would then move into FIFA World Cup, and that is also why Nigeria has most, appearances in the FIFA World Cup. But up until 1998, we then saw WAFCON becoming a tournament. There were now 8 teams that were split into 2 groups, 4 against 4. The 2 teams that win against each other, the 2 best performing teams. So the team that would win in Group A will play against the team that wins in Group B. And those 2, the first and the second, will then advance to FIFA World Cup. Now we're seeing 2 teams. And we'll make an example again in 2018. Remember, the last 2 teams were Nigeria and Banyana Banyana. That is why we managed to go to France in 2019 for the World Cup. But then 2022, they said we are going to actually have more teams. We're going to have now 12 from the 8 teams. Instead of 8, we're going to have 12 that are split into 3 groups of 4. And that is why now we have more room in terms of 4 slots. But it didn't take place up until 2022 because remember, COVID happened and we didn't actually have that match. So 2022, we saw the 12 nations go head-to-head. Semi-finals then qualifies you. The 4 teams then qualifies you to go to the World Cup, which we saw was Banyana Banyana, Morocco, Nigeria, and Zambia. So there has been growth in terms of the teams that can participate on the WAFCON stages as well as the slots in the FIFA World Cup. It's a big conversation. We can have an entire segment about it, but it speaks about the implementation of, seeing more teams, seeing more what other nations can do.
Yeah. Currently sitting on 12 teams when it comes to the WAFCON. Obviously, we want the competition to grow even more than what it is. The upsets have already started. Just ran away from me, but I'll catch her. Next week, I'm going to come back with the question. Upsets have started. Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire will miss out on the next AFCON that is going to be taking place in 2024. They're the first 2 nations that we know that will be missing out. So many more are still to follow. So stick right here with us on Fut-Afrique as we will break down the qualifiers to you until we finally know the 12 that will go to Morocco. That's where we're going to park this episode of Fut-Afrique. Make sure that you hop onto social media and you interact with us by answering the trivia question, which is fairly simple. This week, we are asking you, before the WAFCON that took place that has been extended into 12 teams, prior to that, how many nations did compete in the competition? From myself, Itumeleng Khosikhadia Khavanda, and the rest of the Fut-Afrique team, have yourselves a good week.